What's going on, everyone? Bran here from Bloody Breakdown. And today, I really just kind of wanted to start a discussion more than anything else. Like, this is one conversation I actually really enjoy having with people from this community because, I mean, there's always these things that we agree and disagree on, our opinions, our critiques, whatever. But at some point in time, every one of us horror fans became a horror fan. So today I kind of just wanted to talk about how and why and when I became a horror fan. And the main reason I'm doing this is because I want to hear from you. I want to hear from other content creators. I'd like to see a video on all of you potentially letting me know how you made your way over to the horror genre, became such a big fan. To the people who are viewers, I'd like to hear from you in the comment section down below. How, when, where did you become a horror fan? I think this is something interesting that we can talk about. And so, yeah, as far as my story goes, you know what? I almost forgot to whore myself out and chill. So, yeah, before we get into it, thumbs if you like it, subscribe, turn on notifications if you really like it. And links are down below if you'd like to support the channel on Patreon or follow me on Twitter. So, yeah, with that said, let's go ahead and hop right in, ladies and gents, or more so gents, according to my analytics. Where are the ladies at, huh? What's going on? Ladies don't like horror? So, yeah, as far as how I became a horror fan, I recall before I would consider myself a fan of the genre, I can recall watching scary movies as a kid. On like, for example, I'll give you a good example that comes to mind. USA Network used to run like Child's Play marathons where they would play the first 2 or 3 Child's Play films. And I know they used to play the second one a lot because this specifically in my mind is kind of where I'm getting the story from. I recall watching these horror films, and Child's Play 2, like I said, is the one that comes to mind on the USA Network. So, you know what, they're going to cut most of the film out, but I didn't know anything about that as a young child. I remember knowing it was a Chucky movie or knowing it was a horror movie if it was something else, and watching it, being very intrigued by what it is, but also being a very small, scared little bitch of a kid. So I would watch with my finger on the channel button, and I would kind of like drink in what was happening until the antagonist showed up. Your Chucky or Jason, Michael, what have you, whatever monster appeared, at which point in time I would quickly turn away like the little bitch of a kid that I was. And I just remember, I'd wait a minute and then I'd turn back because I was still interested in it. Even though it scared the shit out of me, I was still so very interested and intrigued at what I was watching. And this went on for a couple of years. I was very intrigued, but I just didn't have the cojones, so to speak, to be able to watch an entire film. But that interest was there. Like the seeds had been planted. It just hadn't peaked yet until I'm wanting to say around spring or summer of 1997, when a movie came out on VHS, show that age, that my sister encouraged my mom to rent, thinking she might be interested in it. And I just so happened to come into the room and sit down without being shooed away. Because my mom, I mean, to a degree, she was a little bit, certain films she didn't want me watching. I kind of get away with things here or there, just cover your eyes and I'll let you keep watching after this part's over type shit, with some tits or some gore hit the screen. But in spring or summer, I'm not sure, of 1997, my sister recommended my mom rent a film from Blockbuster, dating myself again, and that film was Scream. Now, previous to watching Scream, I had really started to build up the balls to make it through the film Halloween, because as most people know, it's scary, it's tense, it's suspense, not a lot of blood and gore. And eventually that was the first horror movie I was ever able to make it through from credits to credits. But it really wasn't until I saw Scream in the year after it came out, when it came to video, that I fell in love with horror. I really appreciated Halloween, and it always holds a special spot. I think it's the greatest film ever made, honestly, in my opinion. But Scream, if Halloween's the best, Scream is A1, because not only is it great and it took that mold and blueprint of Halloween and turned it into something for my generation, or maybe the generation before me, but close enough. Those two films, Halloween and Scream, if you can't tell by watching this channel, really molded me into a horror fan. So like I said, I was able to get the gumption to get through Halloween eventually. And with Scream, I sat down and I watched the whole thing from beginning to end. And at that point, if Halloween hadn't done it, I'd say Scream, what Halloween started, Scream cemented. And after that, I could not get enough. I think around this time, I was just getting the internet in my home, and 97, 98, somewhere in that area. And after Scream and Halloween just really took me by storm, and I fell in love with these films, I started searching out their sequels. I started searching out, well, Scream didn't have a sequel at the time, but Halloween was up to Curse of Michael Myers at this time. I just fell in love. I Know What You Did Last Summer, Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, Child's Play, all the big franchises. I'm searching the internet and I'm finding out what order they go in, because some of them aren't always numbered. I think Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers is the one that really fucked me up at one point in time. Until I got the internet, was able to, get a timeline down on when these films came out that either I wasn't around for or I wasn't old enough for. And I went back every Friday. I went to Blockbuster and I rented a horror film. And I gave up a lot of video game rentals for this, by the way, which I was a huge gamer as a kid. So that should show you something, that I was really falling in love with this. And I just remember going every Friday, and my mom would take me to rent a video, and we go grab a pizza. And that was Friday nights at my place. It used to be video games, but it was slowly transitioning over into film, not just film, horror film. And my mom and my dad were a little iffy about it at first, but I think that they I think they thought I was responsible enough to watch certain of these films. Some of them they kind of wanted to watch them with me or whatever, in case I had any questions, or just to kind of steer me in the right direction about some of this stuff, which I think is fine. Parents should do that type of thing. But and I just acquired this knowledge over my childhood, and it grew and grew and grew to the point to where it was like, well, I want my own horror collection. I want to have these movies and be able to watch them whenever I want to. And, I started a horror VHS collection, which I don't have many of those left anymore. And that kind of, turned into DVDs, Blu-rays, whatever, what have you. But I started collecting these things, these films on physical media a long time ago as well. Probably 98, 99 is when I kind of started collecting. And it just continued, it escalated to the point to where you see now, where I am a 30, holy shit, how old am I? 33-year-old man with a YouTube channel and I talk about nothing but horror films, and a collection that is reaching, I'm wanting to say 700-800 films I have in my collection now at this point, all strictly horror. And that's not including some of the other movies I have that don't fall under that umbrella, but I'm not bragging about my collection here. This is kind of, talking about my origins as a horror fan. So, and it just, like I said, it just built. I started going to the theater more often as I was getting older. I remember going to see Scream 2 and 3 in the theater. I remember going to see Blair Witch Project in the theater. I just remember, buying these films, going to see them when they were brand new, doing research on them. And it just got to the point to where I am now in my life, where there's no other genre of film that I prefer ever. Sure, you may not know it by watching this channel, but there are other genres of film that I do enjoy. I like a good comedy, a good action film. Just depends on what it is. But at the end of the day, I wasn't, other than like Disney films or kid films, I was never really a movie goer until horror. And if you ask me what films I get excited about outside of horror, slim pickings. So, this genre excited me. It intrigued me. It got me interested in it and in cinema as a whole. And I think that at the end of the day, I've gone through phases in my life where I've done things as hobbies, where I've done things as passions of mine. But the one constant that has been there since 97, since right before I turned 10 years old, I was still a 9-year-old kid at the time when I really got into this. The one passion that never goes away, the one thing that I constantly want to see more of and learn more about is the horror genre. And it's been that way. We will be approaching 25 years soon that I have been a fan of the genre and have been a student of the genre. So that's kind of my story in a nutshell. That I think that's kind of what led me to the point that I am today. But like I said, I really get all this shit off my chest because I want to hear from all of you. If you're a content creator and you watch this video, and I would appreciate seeing you do something like this. If you're a content creator who makes horror content, or even if you don't make horror content, if you're a big fan of the genre, make a video if you don't mind. Let me know. Let us all know how you became a fan of horror films. If you're not a content creator, if you're a viewer here on YouTube and you'd like to, down below in the comment section, let's hear your story. I want to know how you fell in love with this genre. And also, while you're down there, since we're going to go ahead and end this thing, leave a thumbs up if you've enjoyed this video. I hate the shilling. I hate the whoring part of this, but it's necessary. And yeah, as always, other than liking it, subscribe and turn on notifications if you enjoy this channel and you want to see more of this. It's not a good sell, but we'll work on it. And speaking of that, once again, I do want to say I am nearly completed with the, I guess it'll be an outro for my videos. It's a video or a graphic where I acknowledge my patrons, the one who's supporting this channel, which right now, like I said last week, I do have a fairly new producer, just joined the producers tier on this channel, that being Rail the Great. So thank you very much for your patronage. Thank you for becoming a producer of this channel. And the link to the Patreon's down below. The link to my Twitter is down below as well. So if you want to follow me, if you'd like to support this channel, I would be eternally grateful. And yeah, it's your all turn to to shout it now. I want to hear what everyone's got to say. If you're a content creator, let's hear it. If you're a commenter, let's go ahead and read it. Get to typing. I love this type of stuff. I really love hearing from everyone on how they became a fan of something that we all enjoy. So with that said, I'm Bran from Bloody Breakdown, and we'll catch you all next time.